The General Banter Podcast with Paul and Jedis.
What the fuck's happening, people? Welcome to the Thursday bonus Patreon podcast. This week we got something different. This week I've done a bit of an interview with Matthew from Inside Strength. He is doing a bunch of different podcasts with various really, really strong people, strong and attractive, sexy people. I'm one of them. So I just thought that'd be a cool bit of content for this week, where we talk about some fitness stuff, some life stuff, and it makes for a great listen. So something a bit different, but hopefully you enjoy it. Cheers, guys.
Colin, first and foremost, thank you for having me down here, man. It's a really good experience. It's just something different that I've never did before. So, just saying that first and foremost, thank you for coming on. Just basically, Colin, why I wanted to get you on, man, was because like we sort of talked about beforehand, your backstory and how you've sort of got to where you're at today. Because, when you think of comedy, well, when I think of comedy in Northern Ireland, like I told you, I think of yourself. And, where you've got to today hasn't just came from anybody else giving it to you. So it's you off your own back sort of doing what you've did. So I would love to sort of go into, Colin, your backstory as to basically how you've got to where you're at. And even going as far back as, like we said, about the Barry the Blender days.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It feels like it's been 5 minutes and then also 50 years. But I think it's like a 10, like anything takes about 10 years to, get good at it or figure it out. So like, yeah, I mean, I kind of just stumbled into everything. Right back at the start, I was into like art and graphic design and stuff, and I went to art college, and I thought I was going to get into Belfast art college, and I didn't get in, and ended up going to McGee up in Derry, and I made a video there. They had a course where it was really experimental. You got to do like a lot of stuff, like 2D design, different stuff, graphic design, 3D, all this sort of stuff, animation, and one of them was like moving image, and I remember making a wee video there. And everyone was like, oh, it's really funny. And it wasn't really meant to be. I was like, all right, cheers. And then the next one I sort of deliberately tried to make it funny. And then once I'd left and kind of had nothing to do, because I did a course that was kind of useless, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I made a video once I left, which was the first I Am Fighter. So it was about the third thing I'd ever made. And then that just got a bit of attention from like producers at BBC and got on to like a show called LOL, which no one has ever seen, thank fuck. And met other comedians and then got into stand-up, and that's been it really ever since. And I've kind of more or less been doing the same things, stand-up, dabbling in podcasting back then and making videos, and I kind of haven't really stopped doing that. It's just evolved and got more professional or more slick and
the setup and stuff,
monetized itself a bit more.
Yeah, well, look, man, it's the main thing is how I first heard about you was the Barry the Blender days, and I remember watching them with my mates, and I think at the time it was like infrared as well, your phones where you hear me at Sammy out there, you put your phone up to it, like, and I remember getting the videos back in the day, and I actually went back and watched them when we talked on Instagram, and I was like, wow, the difference, obviously, the production quality now compared to then, like, you think that was filmed on like a potato back in the day, compared to now, like,
Which I took into consideration at the time because, I'd seen people film stuff with like good cameras and everything, and I was like, I only have this fucking JVC like camcorder, but the style of comedy I loved was like The Office and things that looked like a documentary but it was fake. So I knew that the shitty camera kind of lent itself to that. So I was like, I was more sort of going like, what can I actually do that looks real? So I just made a fake documentary and like made a character and all that sort of stuff. So it actually worked out in the end. I still have that camera. I should keep bringing it up here.
Really? Yeah. And that's what I was looking to talk about as well, because obviously back in the day where, that was probably one of the first times I seen a comedian from Northern Ireland to actually do something like that.
What age are you?
I'm 25.
25. You see, had you been the generation before, people's like, unless you're like really into comedy, you'd be like, who's a comedian from here? You'd be like, Paddy Keelty, or if you were a culture, you'd know some other,
100%.
Colonel Gallant or something. But because you're 25, you're probably your only experience of a comedian from here was like someone you'd seen on the internet. Maybe
100%.
Started with like a Barry the Blender type thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, man. And like obviously yourself and then Shane Todd and stuff like that's obviously came from that sort of.
Don't say his name.
No, I won't say Shane. But yeah, like what I was going to ask you about that as well, Barry, because back in the day, obviously, it wasn't one thing that you would see a lot of people, and even in Northern Ireland doing, is like getting in front of a camera and speaking. So like, how did you sort of find, well, suppose you sort of did it through your degree, but how did you find overcoming that sort of barrier of getting in front of the camera and talking and putting yourself out there almost?
You just do it by yourself.
Yeah.
That was it. Like there was no one ever, like even now, I'm not a big fan of going out and like there's a lot of people will do like a man on the street type video and talk to people in character. I always hated that. I always like to be like locked away or somewhere sort of that you wouldn't recognize, somewhere obscure, and film it and piece it together and put it out, and it'd be a bit of a mystery. You know, I never liked doing character stuff live or anything. So yeah, it was all just very, very private. It was always in the same garage at my dad's house.
Yeah.
For years.
Is that where that was? Your dad's garage?
Yeah, I took like one last photo in it before he started renting the house out.
Really? Yeah. Unreal, man. I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to go up and see that. But with that being said, obviously, Colin, because now what you're doing and everything else, would you say that you always had this sort of aim to get into comedy, or was it just the fact that you sort of fell into it?
No. You know, there's like a couple of types of people where, you know, someone might watch. Well, there's about 3 types of people. There's people that would like watch comedy when they were younger and maybe their parents watched it and they were like, oh, that looks amazing, I'd love to try that, and they have a genuine love for it and they try. And then there's other sort of lunatics who go like, this looks like a way that I can get attention and I want to do this, and that's the wrong way to go about it.
Yeah.
And then you get people like me who just kind of, maybe I was funny for years, and maybe a lot, because I've met people since and they're like, no, well, of course you were going to be a comedian, and I was like, what? Like I don't remember being that funny. Like I remember being in school, everyone was funny, you know, it was just like a circle of people slagging each other.
Yeah.
But where was I going with that? Yeah, I always thought it was kind of funny, but you almost need like pushed into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like I remember even going into the Empire when my mates were watching football, and I remember thinking like, oh shit, people do comedy in here, and then thinking about what it would be like to be standing in front of everyone and you had a fucking panic attack.
Yeah.
You know, 8 years before I ever did comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So how did you find, like when you did your first gig, for example, like you overcame that sort of fear? Suppose it's just throwing yourself in it.
Well, you
and
don't
doing
really
it.
overcome it ever.
Yeah, you just sort of still get it to this day.
Yeah, it's that weird, like, you know, it's, say if you compared it to sport, it'd be like every time you compete or something, you're fucking shitting your pants.
Ah, yes, your adrenaline
but
gets going.
if you weren't allowed to do it, you'd be like, fuck, I missed that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's like the reward of the feeling when it goes good. But beforehand, you know what I mean? When the adrenaline's surging up your neck and you think you're fucking gonna black out. It's like,
I'd say it's like anything where when you get really good at it as well, you can actually sort of like front that as well, where you know you're feeling that inside, as in like your adrenaline. Your
well, a lot of
nerves
the
and
time you only have the adrenaline because you're standing still behind a curtain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and once you can actually use it, you move and talk,
stuff.
it goes away immediately.
Yeah,
But you sort of
yeah.
need it to keep you sharp and everything. But
Of course, yeah.
that's why, you know, sometimes I'll be like in peak brain mode on stage, and most of the rest of the time I fucking can't even remember what day it is, like, because there's no like, you know, there's no reason for me to be you know, I'll just be chilling out, just fucking bored, half falling asleep. There's no reason for me to be like fucking up and sharp.
I know what you mean, man, because that'd be the same with sort of like clients if I was PTing in person back in the day, whereas like you can sort of just switch it on, if that makes sense, where you know, like obviously you're not going to be like that all the time because you need your downtime as well, man. But yeah, man, moving on sort of to that, because I know we've got sort of like a mutual friend, Jordan Stanson. He used to, was it correct, he used to train with you in person?
That's like the first, you know, venture into like being coached I ever took.
Yeah. And what way did you do that? Was that a PT in person? Was that like an online thing, or
no? We would go into the as we gym there, and it was more or less like a group thing. So we was just training there.
Yeah. Was that the first time you probably got into something in the gym as such? Were you?
No, because I would have always worked out and done different stuff and done stuff at home or went to the gym with mates, but with zero structure. You know what I mean? It was all very much like, you know, we're going out on Saturday night, come on, we'll go to the gym and see if we can get a fucking, you know, pecs by the time it's 6 o'clock.
I know, man, like the Geordie Shore days where people used to do the press ups and stuff before they headed out and stuff. Yeah, man, I've did that myself. Like, but you know, why I'm saying about Jordan stuff is because, you know, that was the first time I actually heard that you were into the fitness side of things as well, where you actually went with him in person. What is it you're doing currently at the moment? I think you're working with Tim,
I'm working with Tim, yeah. Just because you do, you know, you do need a bit of structure and a bit of, you know, accountability or something. Like I have a lot of gym equipment that I bought myself. Would work out regularly, but not, you know, it might be fucking 4 days in a row, 8 days off.
Yeah.
You know, it's that sort of thing. There was no real structure. And then obviously I hang around with a load of fucking fat mess comedians. There's no mates that you can be like, right, these are the days we go to gym. The closest thing to that I have is like my father-in-law, who's 60 and an animal, run like 60K on his birthday and everything. Complete beast. But that was about as close as I had. Was like a training partner. So I was like, right, fuck this. All the stuff's lying there. It's lockdown. We go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, regardless of what happens at 7 o'clock. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And we started doing that, and you know, I feel like I was the only one taking it seriously. And then everyone started dropping off, and then I was just like, fuck this. I need to be doing something while I have the time, sort of. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You'd be
of course,
stupid.
yeah.
You'd be stupid to waste the amount of downtime you had.
Yeah.
So I just said to him, I was like, right, fucking knock something up there and we'll get started.
Get it
So that
going,
was
like.
like, I was saying today that the Nile here was like, I weighed in at like 268 pounds from 286.
Very good, man. Yeah, that's good. Coming off there, yeah.
Yeah. Which, do you know Dave Elliott? Have you heard of him? The
Yeah,
comedian
yeah,
from
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Me and him tried to do this thing last year. Obviously, fucking just fell to shit after about a week. The heavyweight cut, because we realised that the UFC upper limit for heavyweight was 265.
Right, okay,
And
yeah.
me and him were going to race the 265.
Yeah.
He is probably heavier than me, I think. But yeah, we both gave up on it then. But now I'm like probably about a week away from it, and I'm just going to send a photo to him.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's another fucking 30 to come off after that. Like,
Well, mate, you know, at the end of the day, everybody starts in a place, you know, different from everybody else. And it's the case of, like you said, I feel like a massive thing, that's what I do full time, man. It's like online coaching, quite like Tim. And, you know, I find a lot of things is working with people is the accountability aspect, is to have somebody
you need to invest in it. You need to pay money and feel like a piece of shit if you don't lose weight or hit goals or whatever. And I know, like I've even said to him, like, you know, I don't really want 12 weeks to fix this. Do you know what I mean? I want to learn how to put it in place. As I said to him, I might lose a pile of weight and not really be happy with how I look. Then we start another journey.
Of course.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, big time. Big time.
But I think he was enjoying it because I do have a lot of equipment which we bought before, and you know, he can really get stuck in the program and the workouts. And I'm on a deload week this week, so or as I call it, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point, Mike? No, but that's a great way of looking at it, man, because, you know, what I say to my clients as well is like a lifestyle change that you're trying to go for. And of course, you know, you can see the 12 weeks, 16 weeks, 20 weeks change for some people, but it's all about, like you said, having the education probably long term to actually stay on track with.
I'm coming, so what day is it today? Thursday? Monday there was like 6 weeks. But even in that space of time, you know, obviously you have days where, you know, you go around family member's house and it's someone's birthday and you're fucking eating this and a bit of that. No, you've made chicken and you eat that and a bit of cake.
Yeah.
There are days like that, but they're also, you learn very quickly, like, if, you know, shit you used to do, like people be like, oh, we're going to do this and get a fucking McDonald's after this. And you're like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, it's insane. Or like the idea that people order pizzas in or Domino's or something, and you're like, I would literally rather not eat.
Yeah, I know what
than
you
eat
mean.
that shit, because it's just like a full waste of time.
Yeah, it's sort of like once you have every other thing in place with your lifestyle, like, you know, your training, even like simple. I know Tim was saying about I think he said about your step count, because you're at the desk most of the day. Like I would be as well. I'd find it hard some days to get steps in.
I've said to Tim, there's days where all the boxes are ticked. So like yesterday, 12k steps, did the workout, ate good.
Yeah.
And then today the steps will be an issue.
Yeah, of course.
And I missed the workout Monday, so the workout will get done tonight.
Yeah.
But then it's like, am I going to be walking around the field in the dark trying to get these fucking steps? Like, and he's like, well, if needs be.
You see, that's what I was actually saying to Tim about, because I'm office based as well. So what I was thinking about getting was like a treadmill where you could just sort of like go on while you're doing your office work. But I suppose you can't really do that up and down here.
Well, I have like a thing that the last fella left in this office, which was like a quarter circle reception desk,
right?
Which I might just put in the corner there and stand at.
Yeah,
you know, if I'm doing any admin type shit.
Yeah, of course, man. And like I find the extendable desk where you can stand as compared to sit will definitely be good for obviously keeping on track with steps. But the big thing that you're saying there as well, Colin, about, you know, the whole Domino's thing and takeaways and stuff like that, I feel like, you know, it's a case of when you have the other things in place, things like that, then you don't necessarily go and, what would you say, have as much compared to what you would if you were off track. And the big thing I'd say when I sort of like educate my clients is like, it's a lifestyle approach to it as well, whereas I would still have that and still try to stay in shape, but it's a case of like, once you get all the other pieces in place, you're probably, you know, things like that you can have if you enjoy, but probably at the moment where you're just sort of pulling back a wee bit in that, are you?
Yeah, well, you know, it's just like, you know, I was obviously on a bit of a journey now, but like I was like overweight, but also like surprisingly fit and strong.
Yeah.
So the working out bit is not an issue.
It's
just it's the blind just eating of fucking anything whenever I feel like it. So there needs to be just this awareness for, you know, let's face it, the time's gonna pass anyway. Like 3 months, 4 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
because I was maintaining a heavier weight fairly well.
Yeah,
like I
yeah.
wasn't just rocketing up. I was
Yeah.
always kind of at the same heavy weight. Mm-hmm. So there just needs to be a period where it all comes away back.
Yeah,
and
of
then I
course.
could probably maintain it at a lower weight.
And with the sort of obviously the gym stuff and the fitness, and I think Tim was saying like you actually are very strong. What you do?
What's Tim saying?
Tim's been saying stuff like in DMs and all like, but it's all good stuff. It's
I
all
say
good
some
stuff.
stuff about Tim. Too.
But the thing is with outside of the gym sort of thing, I know you're a big fan of jiu-jitsu. So is that sort of back going now, or do you just sort of?
Well, it was always like there were people who fucking live and breathe jiu-jitsu and it's
Yeah.
every day and whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
My problem for a long time was where do I do it?
Yeah.
Because we lived in Belfast in an apartment and SBG had opened and I was going there frequently. And then we moved down to the sticks like outside Dungannon. So there was you've either got like Strabane or Belfast, and anytime I was going up to Belfast it was just this, it was a pain in the arse to go do it because at the time SBG didn't have showers and all, you know what I mean? Like you'd be
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna go roll about the floor and get fucking ringworm here, and then have a meeting at 4 o'clock
Yeah.
and I'm sitting there, you know, with a fucking big scuff on my face and half a black eye, my
Yeah.
ear hanging off, like,
Yeah.
hey, how's it going? Stinking.
Yeah.
So it just became hard to actually do. Mm-hmm. And then a whole load of other life shit happened and it was not a priority. You know, it was
Yeah.
like, look after your family and then make sure you're earning money. And there's a whole load of stuff that took priority.
Yeah.
But now since the lockdown, I was talking to a few people I used to run into at jiu-jitsu recently. And I was like, even if it's one class a week, I'm sure I can make one class a week, like,
Yeah,
and just
that's
keep my toe in the water, like. But
Yeah. Especially
because I
if
do
you-
love it.
yeah,
You know, if you go on my
enjoy it.
Instagram feed, it's like watches jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, girls with fat asses, and that's about it. Trainers.
Yeah, because that's obviously the first thing going back to the day, like bar the blender, and obviously you could see that you're into stuff back then, you know, with the sort of the MMA style stuff, like, and you know, for you obviously to do it now, that's obviously a big motivation for you to keep fit as well, because I suppose that's sort of one thing that you enjoy so much that you don't even think about time passes, where you're burning a lot of calories as well, I suppose, doing it.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever done it?
I've did it once or twice. Like my cousin Ryan would be a big fan of MMA, but when I did that, literally rolling the ground sweating. Like,
It's hectic. Like, I mean, you could work out all day, fucking run 10Ks every morning. You could do a whole pile of shit and like one jiu-jitsu class and you're limping around for like 2 weeks. It's just fighting for your life.
yeah, I actually remember that going down to Lisburn and doing like 1 or 2 days with the guys down there, and like even the conditioning alone they used to do, like the warm ups and the
Yeah.
body weight squats, and like I would consider myself quite fit when it comes to that strength aspect. But see, trying to keep up with the guys for like the
There's just a
conditioning
lot
work.
of, I mean, a lot of jiu-jitsu. You know, like, say you're doing a workout or a kettlebell workout or something, there'd be some real awkward moves
Yeah.
where it's just very, very uncomfortable. That's all of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, everything's like what do you call it? Like a Turkish get-up. Something
Yeah,
that's just
yeah, yeah.
really
Yeah.
strenuous and awkward.
Yeah.
Everything is that.
I remember when I was actually doing it, and like the guy got you to stand on like a tee and
Aye.
like go round your other partner and like not hit the ground and try to
climb round them?
Yeah, just
Aye.
climb round them and like.
And of
Jesus.
course, when you're like big and bulky,
Yeah.
you see some wee fella just nipping around people.
I know. I was looking at guys like 3 stone line. I mean, I was like, whoa, like I can't do this right now. Like, but
That's the beauty of the sport, because
That's it. Mm-hmm.
you'll be rolling with someone, and you're like, is this fair that I'm having to roll with this guy because he weighs
Yeah.
like 60 kilos?
Yes.
And then next minute
Technique.
he's like broke your arm off. It's like,
yeah.
it's bizarre sport.
A massive part of that is obviously the technique aspect, because you can be strong in certain ways, but you see if you know the technique and what you're doing, it means you don't even have
Yeah.
to waste as much energy.
And then
on
if
it.
you're strong and have technique,
That's a good
it's a
mixture. Like,
nightmare.
yeah, I know. I'd say so. Like, because you know, probably the guys that would you wrestle with some guys that are all mixed weight. Then some of
yeah,
them would be
if you
60.
you know, an open mat or whatever as they call it, like you just swap partners all the time.
Yeah.
There's times, or in a lineup when you're practicing stuff, like, you know, one guy's fucking 24 stone and the next one's like a wee tiny woman, you know.
Yeah, I know, mate. But probably it's one of the things that humbles you as well when you go in there and you actually
Yeah.
realize when you wrestle with those people, like, you know. But when it comes to the whole MMA thing, that's one thing that I wanted to touch on, is the, you know, why you do it. And it's because obviously you love it, and that's what helps you stay on track as well with the fitness side of things.
I don't really do MMA, like, to be honest.
Yeah, just more like the
I don't even like the jiu-jitsu thing was. It was just a hobby, basically.
yeah.
Over the period of 5, 6, 7 years, so I'm not totally shied at it. Like,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's definitely something needs. You know, I need to look at that again whenever we're free to do so.
of course you do,
Obviously,
but-
it's the dirtiest of all.
Yeah,
sports
yeah. Where you get
when
in
it comes to
contact.
hygiene. Like.
Yeah, I'd say so, man. And is there anything else, Colin, outside of the gym and jiu-jitsu that you do? Like, do you do anything else for like fitness wise? Or?
don't know. I was trying to get into this running a wee bit there, but I was enjoying it, but I was just like, I feel like it's one of them again, like the jiu-jitsu thing. If I could just go for one short run a week, just to keep it, it's just not my thing.
Yeah, no, running's not my thing.
And
either,
I got a lot better at it very quickly, but rightly, you're just not built for certain things. Some people can run for ages, but they couldn't like lift the box off the floor.
Yeah, 100%.
I know rightly, all I'm built for is, do you need a portaloo pushed over or something? What do you need? Someone trapped under a mini.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll shove it on the side for a minute.
Have you ever actually lifted really heavy, like with the main lift, squat, bench, deadlift, or powerlifting?
I've actually never. Well, with Jordan, we tried to push it as much, but obviously, the focus there was like a lot of full body, just big sweat sessions, get moving. So it dabbled in it a wee bit. But bench is something that I feel like if I pushed it, it would get real big.
What can you bench?
I think 160 was like big last time we were there.
Yeah, that's very good.
It's on video. Mickey Bartlett was in the gym with me.
Oh, really?
Fucking 4 people standing around the bar.
Yeah, I mean you need that when obviously people are going.
But I don't like it's funny because, and then the deadlift. I don't think I had deadlifted for long enough. Do you know what I mean? Technique wise and everything to really push it.
Yeah, deadlift's probably out of all the lifts, so the ones that obviously the technique needs to be the best. Yeah,
and again, probably need to speak to someone who really fucking knows how to lift. Because sometimes it's just a bit awkward. You feel like I'm a wee bit too tall, or is what the proportions are off here. Where this feels like it's hitting a bad spot. You go on the fucking hex bar thing.
Yeah, it's so much better.
It feels it's straight up, but way less strain. But what's the other ones? Squat again. Bit of a shitty knee from rugby years ago, so the bottom of a squat can be a problem for me.
Yeah,
but I don't think I pushed it. I could probably bench more than I could squat.
Yeah, but look, at the end of the day, it's probably just because of technique, like you're saying. But that's still some bench, man. 160 kg.
Don't get me wrong. Once.
Yeah, but
with a crowd of people standing around,
you could probably do sets at like 140 for sets of 5. I'd say at least anyway for a person. That's
again. I don't train. I haven't been pushing it like that. At the minute, it's like we got 4 sets of 8.
Yeah,
when you keep it at about, of course, 100 or something. You're not going mad.
That's it. And that was a big milestone back in the day for most guys wanting to hit that 100 kg bench. I don't know if you sort of started and you always wanted to try aim towards that when you started benching. Like that was a big thing that, well, a lot of guys when they start in the gym, that's the one milestone they want to aim towards. And I think once you hit it, obviously you just, especially with strength training, you just want to get more of it, especially when you're into it. But when you were saying about the thing with Jordan, what you were doing, the whole body sort of workouts and stuff like that, is that what you prefer more compared to, what would you say, like bodybuilding splits then?
Probably, yeah. I've somewhere in there's like a bit of fucking meathead DNA from playing rugby or something where I like to feel like I've blown it out a bit.
Yeah.
Do you know? I would probably enjoy CrossFit if I did it. You know what I mean? But I remember just going to the gym with a bunch of lads and fucking 4 lads in a queue to do a bench press, and you do it, and there's plenty of times where I'd go in and miss the first bit of their training to do like 40 minutes on a cross trainer, or like a hit on a cross trainer or something, just to fucking feel like I'd done something, because I don't know what that is. It's probably surprised. Like I bought an assault bike. I fucking love assault bikes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're tough, man. They're very, very tough. Them assault bikes, like when
there are weird things, for a big fat cunt that I find a lot easier than most people.
Yeah. Probably because of the strength as well.
You're fucking blasted, and the calories go up way quicker than everyone else. But it's just weird that like ring push-ups and stuff. And I've seen strong people on them fucking all over the place. And for some reason, I could do them all day. Like there's a handful of things that I really enjoy doing that are like a nightmare for a lot of people.
I'd say so.
Yeah. I do like feeling like I've been to the gym. Like
I think like for me it's a case of you can come and go in and out of different types of training. Like for me, I did the performance type training with football back in the day when I was playing football, and then I went into bodybuilding, then into powerlifting, which is like your strength training, and now I'm just sort of doing it to feel good, like and sort of look good as such. And I feel like when a lot of people go into it, they feel like they have to stay in that certain way forever. Whereas if you transition like you did, where you do whole body, where you can do compound lifts, where you can do different things, whatever suits you is the most important thing.
You see people change all the time. I've seen people, big powerlifters, go into jiu-jitsu and they realize the muscle needs a lot of air. And they burn out pretty quickly, and then you don't see them in 6 months, and then you see them and they're like a different person. Like they've slimmed the way down, they're way wirier. They're like, well, this is what I do now, fuck.
That's it.
A lot of the time they keep a lot of the strength too, which is like that's scary.
Oh, that's one thing that when I started powerlifting at about 22, like I absolutely loved the feeling of getting stronger as well. And there's such a difference between, you know, when you do the bodybuilding type workouts and you create that muscle versus the powerlifting type workouts, like go muscle versus show muscle, if that makes sense. And like I just love the feeling of getting stronger through all them main lifts as such. And you can apply it to so many different things. If you're strong in a certain plane, like a person motion, you think about rugby as well when you start that's obviously can carry over. But I'm sure you've probably seen a lot of guys coming from the bodybuilding side when you've did them jiu-jitsu classes who maybe had that background who came in, have you?
I mean, there's been a lot of big muscular guys
and they sort of like again wrestle with like 60 kg people and sort of find the technique, overtook it. Yeah,
he's all over you like a monkey.
Yeah, I'd say so, man. But that sort of brings us on to the next bit, Colin. Like obviously, you know, where you are today and everything else with the podcast, the shows, and you know, a big milestone for you was in January where you did the SSC Arena. Like how did that feel for you, obviously doing that for the first ever time?
Not as nice as it should have felt, because I don't know if you followed any of the stuff online for me, but like the timeline was basically I was on tour. My wife had our baby. November, and 9 days later, back in hospital, diagnosed with lymphoma. Right? So fucking chaos. That whole autumn, winter. And then the SSE was in January, and it was like fucking, it was class, don't get me wrong, but it was like not as celebratory as it should have been. And even she was still getting treatment up to like March, so there was no like celebration or release, or you know what I mean. It was like it was like a big grind up to this thing, and then we were just still in hospital and everything, and by the time she got out and that was done, there's a lockdown. So it was very just like
a weird place almost in that time, or
you know what I mean. There was like, I feel like I should have been away on a holiday or something, but there was no like, I don't know, like blowout at the end of it really. So it was amazing to go do, and I'm almost more excited about doing it again, you know, with all the sort of nerves away, where you know you're like, oh, how's it gonna go? Is this set gonna work in front of these people? And then you go up and you're like, oh, it's just like, it is just like a normal gig. Realistically, it's just a bit bigger, but sure, you don't see half of them anyway. So now I know that, I'm like, right, I can just concentrate on writing more material. I could have done a second one or a third one way sooner, but I chose to do it at the end of next year. To get the set and everything sorted, because I don't know when we'll be doing stand up again. But I'm more excited about that, where there's no life drama going on. Everyone's healthy. You can enjoy yourself on tour instead of fucking checking your watch in case, or checking your phone in case your wife calls. Like, I'm going into labour and you have to rake it back from Galway or something.
I'd say like trying to balance all that, man, was very, very tough. And for you, obviously, you know, the reason why you do it is, I suppose you love what you do as well, and that's why, you know, during the tough times you understand what it's going to do for your family long term and everything else. So you had to try balance everything, man. But you know, when it comes to that sort of tough time, I'm sure that it took a lot of the sort of strength internally for you to keep it together, I suppose, when it came through them periods of time. It's
funny because you don't think about that. You know, it's full survival mode, and then you know, you always, I mean, it's like one of those metaphors, you know, like it's the journey and all this here shit, because you think like, oh, this is gonna be over, or my wife was getting like her last chemo session, and you think you're gonna walk out and party, you know, fucking champagne and everything, but you're kind of almost completely emotionally fucking wrecked by the end. That it's over, and you're just like, then it actually takes this sort of like rejuvenation period for you to get back up and feel normal. It doesn't just like kick in straight away.
100%, because my girlfriend's mother got diagnosed last year at some point, and she's still going back and forth with it all. So I see firsthand what it's like to be around that, you know, that sort of environment and stuff like that. And it is really difficult to try to.
And everybody will, like that's you know, it affects so many people, and you know, you think, oh, it's never going to happen to you or anyone you know, and then it does, and then you speak to people, and everyone's experienced it somehow. It's like there's about two connections before you know someone that's.
I know it is crazy, like when you sort of break that down like that, man. But you know, it's credit to yourself, Colin, because you've still worked through it all and you've still came out the other end, and I'm sure that sort of made you mentally more resilient, I suppose, when it comes to things, because you've dealt with that, probably the hardest thing you've ever dealt with in your life.
Yeah. Very possibly, yeah. But again, I don't know. I have nothing to compare it to. Maybe next year when I go on tour, you know, I'll be able to enjoy myself. You know, I'll be like, this is great. I'm chilled out. I get to go to, you know, Liverpool for the weekend to do a gig. You know, go eat out, do different stuff, enjoy the gig, come home, come back and see my family, instead of like just being fucking completely on edge the whole time. I might be able to enjoy it. Might be able to go and do the SSE and have my set worked out already and be like, sure, we've been here before.
Yeah.
You know, this is going to be no sweat.
Yeah. Well, that's
I'll probably only see the good of it then.
yeah, of course, and like even in itself, it's a massive feat for anybody to be standing on that stage in SSC, and alone a comedian from Northern Ireland. Like it's probably the pinnacle of what you can do here in Northern Ireland alone. And I suppose you're doing the tour across the UK next year. You were saying, are you?
Yeah, well, we sort of did a few, the big cities last year, but I think we'll branch out a wee bit this year and then try and get to America, try and get to Australia, stuff like that, which should have been happening this year realistically, but you know yourself, pandemic.
And obviously I seen a video of you were in, was it Venice Beach or something like that around America? You just went to like a holiday?
Well, it was like last year when Aaron McCann, he was doing like a year in America. Mm-hmm. We were just like, fuck it, we'll go, under the guise of like, we'll go see him, we'll go visit him, but we'll just build a holiday around it.
Yeah.
And the first wee bit of the trip was like, stayed in Santa Monica, went up to Venice and all, and then we went into Hollywood for like the second half of the trip. But I would move tomorrow, like.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never been to America, man. It's one thing my girlfriend always wants to go to, and I'd love to go for traveling, like. But you would love to live there. Would you love to like eventually move over there and work full time?
Well, I don't really even follow him, but like, Maureen looks at like Joe Wicks, and he has a house over there.
Yeah.
And that would be the way to do it. Is like just, I don't know if you'd want to live there with how fucking crazy it is, but definitely go for the winter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go over in September and come back and fucking.
I think we get about a week of good weather in the summer.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's just, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, I hate this, and I hate how positive it is, and I hate how everyone has an agenda. Like I'm a waiter, but I'm an actor. No, I like that.
Yeah.
If you'd probably like it if you're in that sort of hustle business.
Yes,
you would fucking like that, because over here, if someone was, someone's like, what are you doing? You're like, oh, I'm an online coach and I'm looking to, be one of these fucking digital nomad type things that can be in Bali telling you, how to fucking eat right. People will be like, fuck that, mate. Like, fucking right here, man.
It's a mindset.
Get a decent job. Whereas if you said that to somebody in LA, they'd be like, oh, fair play.
Yeah.
What's your cut? They'd be looking to know more. Yeah. They'd be more intrigued. Like,
and I think that's from like the sort of, I would say it's almost like the mindset. Like I've met a few Americans in the past, but even like the mindset here when it comes to obviously trying to do something different from your norm as such. Like
the mindset here is poisonous. Like you can't. It's fucking, what is it? Crabs in a barrel. It's just like you can't let anyone fucking do well. Even it's very, in comedy, you're like, oh, I think you're funny, tell us a joke and all.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
I know,
you're shouting at me from a fucking bin lorry? What are you... Do you know what I mean? You tell me a joke.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
What's going on here?
I'd say, like, especially here, because like we can relate to it. We both do what we love at the end of the day, and like it's something different compared to what most people will do. But what I try to say to most of my clients, even when I work with them, sure, you've sort of mixed in with people and you've like talked to Jordan about things, and obviously at the end of the day, PTs talk with people about personal stuff. And there's a lot of things I tell my clients is just number one, what are you actually happy doing, and what could you see yourself wanting to do each day, and you can try to make that into your profession as such. It just takes time and perseverance, and if you love it enough, I suppose you'll do the work that's required to actually get there.
Well, of course, I don't know what you're like, but all I get is questions all day like, oh man, I'm thinking about doing a podcast, what gear do you use? And then you're like, you don't need me to tell you. You'd be doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
I didn't ask anybody fucking what camera do you use before you shot it on whatever you had, or like the first podcast thing I had was like a wee, what was it, H2, it's like a wee black microphone. We just talk into it, take the card out, put it in the computer. Like if someone's like, I was thinking of starting a podcast, I'm not gonna be like, I get one of these desks and fucking 2 cameras and rent an office. It's gonna cost you a fortune. Like you gotta be starting,
of course,
with what you've got.
And I think it's about that. And when people would ask me as well about online coaching and what software to use and all this stuff, and I was like, just pick something, go with it, see what works, and just improve as you go along, I suppose. Like even me starting this podcast, like
you don't have to get it right first go.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
you won't get it right first go.
100%. I just think it's down to like being, what would you say, humble enough to realize that when you come out of the blocks, it's not going to go well straight away. You just have to sort of persevere through it and go through the fact that you're not going to know it all, and just get better at it as you go through it. Because even with me, this podcast, like this stuff here is like so much better than what I have. But for you to ask me up here, and it's a pleasure to do it. But all I have is like the wee thing that you started with as well, and I'm just zooming people and being like, do you want to come on? Like I'd love to get you on, and just going from there.
If you're again, like, all you have to do is ask people. That's it.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Especially with the Zoom and everyone being at home. Like someone will be like, I might as well. You know, it's an opportunity to promote like whatever the business they have. I'll chat to this guy, and you know, I'm sitting scratching my balls here anyway. Like, why would you not?
Yeah, that's it. And that's why I reached out to you as well. And I just hit you up a wee DM, and that's basically where we are now, to be fair. And that's what I did with Pat as well.
Yeah.
Like, anybody I've asked is because, you know, like, basically guys like you inspire me because you're doing your own thing in your own industry. And, like, it shows that, you know, because you have that actual passion, you're willing to do it and get to where you're at. And that's why, like, this podcast of mine is not just centered around strength and fitness. And, of course, we're touching things, but it's more about the, you know, the personal development aspect, like the mindset to get there to where you're at,
Yeah.
regardless of what industry you're in. Like,
Well, if you don't stop, you don't stop. It's one of the, you know, it's like,
yeah, 100%.
there's I think that they actually had the quote in SBG above the door from this like jiu-jitsu guy, and it was like, it's not who's the best, it's who's left. And it's like, if you know, there's plenty of fucking comedians, like Mickey Bartlett or Shane Totter, all these comedians are like, that's what happens when you just fucking get your head down and just keep plowing forward, even when it goes against fucking sanity a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know, there's some deaths that you die on stage where you're like, that's when I should have quit. You know what I mean? Like, when you just, and then you think, oh no, I'm good enough, and you get back up again and again and again, and you just fucking, you know, the bullets are bouncing off you, and you just
100%.
keep going, and then all of a sudden you see someone, you go, oh, he's really good, and you're like, yeah, it's because of the fucking
The years of grafting,
the
like,
many times that he fucked up
Yeah,
and had
100%.
shit and
Yeah.
got better at it. Like,
exactly. That's what I love. Like what you said there about eating shit. It's like, you know, you have to be willing to take all the bad shit as you go along the way to actually get good at it. And I think that what puts a lot of younger people starting off, like, you know, I'm still young enough starting off my own journey, but when a lot of people start off, they're trying to like almost feel like, especially with social media, that they're an expert in that field straight away, where they just have to sort of fall in love with the process of it first and foremost, and actually like be humble enough to accept where they're at. And I think that resonates a lot more with people online, because you're real then, as opposed to trying to come across as something that you're not.
yeah,
Just
and people,
you know.
you can see the people who dive on something when it looks like a financial opportunity.
100%.
I've been doing podcasting for years now, and then when this lockdown kicked in, people were just like this desk here, I think they sold out of them.
Really? Yeah.
Everybody fucking jumped on it. Like, I'm gonna do a podcast now because I see, you know, someone else is making money off a podcast who's been doing it for 10 years, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna fucking throw something together.
Yeah.
And I'm mainly talking about comedians, like, but you know, it's like people who you've tried to convince for years to maybe do something, and then they're
Yeah.
just like, oh, now that the shit's hit the fucking windmill here, I'm gonna get a podcast.
I suppose it's like anything.
What equipment do I buy in? It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
it's
100%.
like, dude, fucking figure it out, man.
Yeah, I think it's mainly you have to just sort of, didn't even know that. Well, suppose you can with advertising, you can make money off them, I suppose. But for me, it's just trying to like meet people like you and interview them and actually,
yeah.
you know, and do it authentically. And then, you know, you listen to Joe Rogan, probably the one that you think of a podcast, and that's the one you think of. He just probably started off the same, just interviewing people that he liked.
That didn't even kick in for a few. For him, it was just a lot of mates,
Mm-hmm.
and it was him. You know, it was really lo-fi at the start, like.
Yeah. Do you listen to his podcast a lot, would you?
Guest dependent.
Yeah, who's
You know,
on it? Like,
it depends who's
yeah.
on it. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Elon Musk smoking the weed.
pretending to smoke weed.
I know, man. I know. But yeah, look, Colin, that's basically most of the stuff there I wanted to touch on. Basically, your story at the start, man, how you've got to where you are, as well as just the fact that, like, you know, it's clear that you love what you're doing. You're a family man at heart as well, and everything combined. I'm sure, you know, in the years to come, we'll see you not even just branch out the UK even more, but also America. I'd say that'll happen, man. And I just wish you all the luck with it, lad, because, you know, it's true that you're passionate about it and you love what you do, like.
Well, thanks very much. Thanks for having me on your podcast in my office.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for having me here. I didn't even realise the sort of cameras rolling. I've looked at you the whole time, I suppose.
that's
But yeah, man, other than that, thank you so much for coming on, brother.
No worries, man. Pleasure.
Thank you, brother.